The morning sun shone brightly along the banks of the Nile, reflecting of the tranquil waters as Amina, a young archaeology student, focused on her excavation. The day's heat promised to be intense, but her curiosity and determination outweighed any discomfort. With a small shovel in hand, she carefully removed layers of sand and mud, hoping to uncover something that could shed light on the mysteries of ancient Egypt.
"Look, Amina,
"You're doing great," exclaimed Omar, her teammate, as he approached. He carried a camera, ready to capture any significant discoveries.
if you find something impressive, you'll definitely be the star of our research."
Amina smiled, but her focus remained on the earth surrounding her. It was then that, digging a little deeper, her gaze fixed on a peculiar glimmer.
Curious, she leaned in and brushed the sand of a small amulet.
It was golden and featured an intricate design that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Did you find something?"
Omar asked, coming closer with interest.
"Yes, look at this," Amina replied, holding the amulet in the palm of her hand.
As soon as her fingers touched the object, a wave of heat enveloped her, and a golden light began to emanate from the amulet, blinding her vision.
Amina felt an unknown force pulling her, and before she could protest, everything around her vanished in an intense glow.
When the light finally faded, Amina found herself in a vast desert, surrounded by immense pyramids that seemed to touch the sky. A mix of wonder and fear washed over her as fantastic creatures appeared in her view.
It was a completely different world, and she realized that the amulet was not merely an ancient artifact, but the key to a new destiny.
"Who's there?" A deep, enigmatic voice broke the silence, and Amina turned to see the Sphinx, imposing and majestic.
"You dare to activate an artifact you do not understand, and now you must face the challenge that awaits you."
"Answer my question, and you may proceed." Amina felt her heart race. "What is the riddle?"
she asked, determined not to let fear take hold. The Sphinx smiled enigmatically.
"What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, and 3 in the evening?"
Amina frowned, her mind racing to decipher the riddle that could determine her future in this magical world. Amina walked through the vast desert, the warm, soft grains of sand beneath her bare feet. In the distance, the imposing silhouette of the temple of Bastet rose, its walls richly adorned with hieroglyphs that shimmered in the sun.
She felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation, knowing she was about to enter a sacred space.
As Amina crossed the temple's portal, a golden light illuminated the interior, revealing the goddess in her feline form, her eyes holding the wisdom of millennia.
"Welcome, Amina," the goddess said, her voice soft like a river's murmur.
"I am Bastet,
"Guardian of strength and beauty. You have come here seeking knowledge, but you must understand the duality that exists in every being." I want to help," Amina replied, feeling small before Bastet's majesty. "I found an artifact that could change everything, but an evil being named Seti wants to use it for harm." Bastet tilted her head, contemplative. "Seti is an ancient priest who has lost himself in ambition. He desires absolute power and will not hesitate to destroy anyone who stands in his way." The goddess paused, her eyes glowing with an inner light.
"You must stop him, Amina."
"But remember, strength is not only physical. True beauty lies in wisdom and compassion. How can I confront him?"
Amina asked, worry settling in her heart.
"With this amulet," Bastet replied, extending a delicate paw. A shimmering amulet appeared, decorated with the image of a cat enveloped in a halo of light. "It will grant you protection, but true strength comes from within.
Trust your intuition and remember that light can always dispel darkness." Amina took the amulet, feeling a wave of warmth and courage wash over her. "Thank you, Bastet. I will seek the temple of Anubis and find more answers. Then go," Bastet said, her voice echoing like a whisper in the air. "And may the strength of the goddess always be by your side." With the amulet in hand, Amina exited the temple, determined to follow her path. The sun began to set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks, and Amina felt that each step brought her closer to her destiny, a journey that would not only shape her future, but also the fate of an entire magical world. Amina hesitantly advanced through the shadows of the temple of Anubis, the atmosphere dense and heavy, wrapping around her like a thick cloak. This sacred place pulsed with the energy of the dead, and every step she took seemed to echo in the profound silence. The hieroglyphs on the walls appeared to whisper secrets of the past, revealing stories of souls that had crossed over to the beyond. Suddenly, a wave of cold enveloped her, and the shadows began to take shape, manifesting her fears and insecurities. "You are just a student, Amina," one of the shadows whispered, taking the form of her excavation professor, who looked at her with a critical gaze.
"How dare you think you can confront Seti?"
I can," Amina replied, trying to gather her strength in the face of the image.
I am not just a student.
I have a purpose.
Upon hearing her own voice filled with determination, the shadows began to recede, but they were still persistent.
Another figure emerged, representing her childhood friend, who looked at her with sadness.
You have forgotten who you really are.
You cannot change the past. No, I will not let that stop me, Amina shouted, feeling adrenaline surge through her veins. In this moment of vulnerability, a powerful presence burst forth among the shadows.
Anubis, majestic in his canine form, appeared before her, his divine aura illuminating the darkened surroundings.
You are stronger than you realize, Amina,
he said in a deep, resonant voice.
The shadows are merely reflections of your insecurities. They do not define who you are. But I don't know how to defeat Seti, Amina confessed, her voice now a whisper. What if he conquers me?
The dead hold secrets that can aid you in your mission, Anubis replied, gesturing with his paw. Come, follow me.
There are truths that need to be revealed. Amina followed the god, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope.
As they walked, the walls of the temple began to glow with the names of ancient priests and warriors, each carrying a story of bravery and sacrifice. When they arrived at a room lit by a soft, golden light, Anubis stopped and looked at Amina.
Prepare to see what the past has to teach you, he said, as the light intensified, enveloping Amina in a vibrant vision. Images began to form, revealing a young Seti in moments of friendship and laughter. Amina felt a pang in her chest as she realized that, before succumbing to ambition, he had been a dear friend.
Seti, he was so full of life, Amina murmured, tears streaming down her face.
How did he become what he is now?
Anubis watched with attention. Ambition can corrupt even the purest of hearts, but perhaps you have the power to bring him back to the light. Amina felt a new purpose blossom within her.
She was not just fighting against an enemy. She was also facing the possibility of redeeming a lost friend.
Amina's heart raced as she walked across the warm sands of the desert, now well acquainted with the path back to the world of the living. Determination guided her, although the uncertainty of what she would find ahead weighed on her spirit.
I need to believe that there is still hope for Seti, she murmured to herself, recalling the visions she had seen in Anubis' temple. He was a friend, but ambition had transformed him into a formidable foe.
As she emerged on the other side, Amina found herself in an ancient city where the shadows of the buildings seemed to whisper forgotten secrets.
She searched for Seti, following the intuition that guided her. Finally, she spotted a familiar figure under a palm tree, surrounded by an aura of power. It was him, and Amina felt a chill run down her spine as she approached.
Seti, she called, her voice firm, yet tinged with a slight tremor.
He turned, his eyes shining with a mix of surprise and disdain. Ah, Amina, the archaeologist who dared to challenge the gods. What are you doing here?
Come to stop me.
Seti's tone was mocking, a smirk forming on his lips. I'm not here to fight, Seti. I'm here to save you, Amina said, trying to mask the fear in her voice. I know you can change.
Ambition doesn't have to be your only path. He laughed, a sound that echoed between the buildings.
Save?
Do you really think you can save me?
The power I seek is irresistible. Join me, and we can conquer it all together. No, Seti, the power you seek only brings destruction.
Think of the people you love. Think of us.
Amina tried to appeal to the memory of the friend she once knew, but Seti stepped closer, his presence now charged with a threatening energy.
You don't understand, Amina. Power is freedom. With it, I will no longer be just a priest.
I will be a god. The intensity in his voice made the shadows around him writhe and swirl. Amina felt the internal battle intensify within her.
But at what cost? Are you willing to sacrifice everything and everyone for that?
Seti's expression shifted. The fury was palpable, and in an instant, what seemed to be a man transformed into a monstrous creature, his eyes burning with the flames of ambition.
You can't stop me, Amina. The young archaeologist took a deep breath, feeling all the strength that Bastet and Anubis had given her.
Even in the face of Seti's transformation, she would not back down.
I won't give up on you, Seti.
No matter what you become, there's still a part of you that can be saved.
But Seti's response was a fierce attack, and Amina prepared for battle, determined not to let the darkness consume him completely. She felt the pulsating energy of the protective amulet around her neck as she faced Seti, his monstrous form gleaming under the desert light.
The air was thick with tension, and the young archaeologist knew that the upcoming battle would require more than just physical strength. She would need wisdom and courage.
Do you really think you can beat me, Amina?
Seti laughed, his voice echoing like thunder. You're just a student, a mere mortal. The power I possess is insurmountable.
She took a deep breath, recalling Bastet's words. Strength comes from within, Amina. You are more powerful than you believe. With a firm gesture, she raised the amulet, which shone brightly, reflecting the light of the setting sun.
I'm not just a student. I am the guardian of this world now, and I will not allow you to destroy it.
Seti lunged forward, his claws glinting menacingly.
Amina dodged, using the techniques she had learned from Bastet. She moved with agility, her mind focused, but the pressure of battle left her exhausted.
With a moment of weakness, he struck her with a powerful blow that sent her crashing to the ground.
You're losing, Amina.
Surrender, and I might even consider letting you live,
He shouted, a cruel smile forming on his face. But in that instant, a formidable shadow loomed over them. It was the Sphinx, her deep and wise gaze penetrating Amina's soul. Trust in yourself, young archaeologist. Your true strength lies in your determination and your heart. Rise. Amina slowly stood up, feeling a surge of power and determination growing within her.
I won't give up, she declared, her voice now as steady as rock.
With a decisive movement, she called upon the wisdom she had gained in her journey.
Seti, you don't need this power.
Look at yourself. What do you truly desire? Seti hesitated, the triumphant expression on his face starting to fade.
I
want to be respected, feared.
I want. Respect doesn't come from fear. Amina interrupted, her voice resonating with conviction.
You were a friend, Seti, but now you've lost your way. There is a path back, but only if you're willing to abandon this one. Amina's words echoed in the air, challenging the essence of Seti.
She could see the internal struggle in his eyes, the battle between ambition and the quest for redemption.
Amina felt that perhaps true victory lay not in defeating him, but in helping him find his way back.
She looked into Seti's eyes, now stripped bare, and felt a wave of compassion mixed with determination. The once charismatic priest was now consumed by a shadow he had nurtured himself. Seti, she said firmly, you can free yourself from this. You don't have to let ambition define you.
Seti hesitated, desperation etched on his face.
You don't understand, Amina.
The power of the artifact is irresistible.
I can be more than I am, more than a forgotten priest.
He moved closer to the artifact lying in the sands, his hands trembling as they reached for the light emanating from it. No, Seti, what you see as power is an illusion. Amina cried, her heart racing.
You don't need this.
Fight against this influence.
But it was as if her words were merely echoes in an arid desert. With one last desperate push, Seti reached for the artifact to activate.
Amina, realizing what was about to happen, remembered Anubis' words about the importance of facing darkness with courage. With a scream of determination, she ran towards him, her hands wrapping around the artifact before he could activate it.
This artifact isn't what you think. It's the key to your prison and to the liberation of your true self. An intense light enveloped Amina, and she felt the energy pulse through her body.
The light of knowledge and truth burns the shadows,
she shouted, using all the strength and wisdom she had gained on her journey. In an instant, the light from the artifact expanded, encasing Seti in a brilliant sphere.
The priest screamed, but his words were drowned out by the power now imprisoning. No, he yelled. Amina, don't do this. I'm sorry, Seti, she replied, tears streaming down her face. This is for your own good.
You can still find the light within you. With one final movement, Amina activated the artifact, and a wave of energy enveloped them, opening a rift that sucked Seti into a dimension of shadow.
When the light dissipated, Amina fell to her knees, exhausted but relieved.
The voices of Bastet and Anubis echoed in her mind.
You did what needed to be done, Amina, Bastet said, her tone filled with approval.
Courage and compassion go hand in hand. Anubis appeared at her side, his majestic presence comforting.
You are now the guardian of Egypt's secrets. The power you hold is not just about strength, but about understanding and love. Amina looked around, feeling the peace returning to the magical realm. I promise to protect this place and its secrets, she declared, her determination renewed.
With one last glance at the dimension where Seti had vanished, she stood up, finally understanding her purpose. Now free to explore the wonders that the future held for her, Amina smiled.
The path ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to face it, armed with the wisdom of the gods and the strength of a courageous heart.